Hello, my students. Let me ask you something. How can 15 seconds change your life? How can a single video filmed in someone's bedroom reach 1 billion people across the world? Welcome to the world of TikTok, an app that didn't just go viral, it rewired how humans think, create, and connect. What started as a simple platform for music and dance is now shaping culture, business, education, and even politics. But behind the fun and the fame, there's a much bigger story, one that reveals how our attention became the most valuable thing in the world. In today's episode, we're diving deep into that story. How TikTok rose from nothing to dominate everything, how it changed creativity forever, and what that says about us. So, don't go anywhere. Stay with me till the very end, because the last few minutes of this episode will open your eyes to something most people never realize about technology, that the real power of TikTok isn't in its algorithm, it's in you. Part 1. From a simple app to a global obsession. It started quietly, a short video app from China that almost no one outside Asia had heard of. No one knew that this tiny platform, called Douyin, would one day evolve into TikTok, one of the most powerful forces on the internet. At first, it was just another app for fun videos, people lip-syncing, dancing, joking around. But something about TikTok was different. It wasn't just an app, it was a mirror of human creativity, fast, unpredictable, and full of energy. The company behind it, ByteDance, had a vision. They didn't want people to just watch videos. They wanted to make it possible for anyone to become a creator. They didn't want the internet to be a stage for celebrities only. They wanted it to be a playground for everyone. So they built an algorithm, one of the smartest ever created. It didn't care how many followers you had, or where you lived, or who you were. It cared only about one thing: what people liked. That was the secret. While other social media apps pushed content from big names, TikTok pushed content that people actually enjoyed, even if it came from a person who had 0 followers. The algorithm didn't just recommend videos, it learned from every second you watched, every pause, every replay, every smile, and that changed everything. Suddenly, anyone could go viral. A shy teenager dancing in their room could wake up to 10 million views. A grandmother cooking soup could become an influencer overnight. A small business owner could post one creative video and sell out their products the same day. TikTok didn't just democratize fame, it redefined it. In a world where attention is the new currency, TikTok became the global marketplace. It took what was once complicated, editing, recording, producing, and made it simple, fast, addictive. But it also did something deeper. It changed how we consume information. Before TikTok, social media was about reading, scrolling, or watching long videos. But TikTok trained our brains to think in bursts. Quick ideas, fast transitions, instant emotions. A 15-second clip could make you laugh, cry, learn, or dream, all before the next one started, and that's how the platform spread like wildfire. By 2020, TikTok had exploded beyond China, dominating the US, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, everywhere. Lockdowns made it unstoppable. While the world was inside, TikTok became the window to connection. People danced from their bedrooms, doctors shared tips from hospitals, Comedians made the world laugh in dark times. It wasn't just entertainment, it became therapy, a way to escape reality when reality felt too heavy. And then, something incredible happened. TikTok started shaping culture, not just following it. Songs that were unknown suddenly became global hits. Trends that started in one city went worldwide within hours. Fashion, language, humor, even politics. Everything began to flow through the rhythm of short videos. People started learning through it too. Teachers began explaining science in 1-minute clips. Language learners taught new phrases with dances. Psychologists gave emotional advice in bite-sized lessons. It was education disguised as entertainment, and people loved it. But behind all that magic was something powerful, the algorithm's ability to understand human desire. It knew what made you stay, what made you skip, what made you feel, and it gave you more of it. That's why it felt impossible to stop scrolling. TikTok wasn't just showing you videos, it was showing you yourself. By 2023, TikTok wasn't just a trend anymore, it was an empire. With over 1 billion active users and billions of hours watched every day, it became the heartbeat of Gen Z and millennials alike. But it didn't stop there. It began influencing how other platforms worked too. YouTube created shorts, Instagram built reels. Even Facebook, once the king of social media, tried to copy TikTok's style. Because everyone realized something, attention is everything, and TikTok had mastered how to capture it. But the story isn't just about numbers or fame, it's about psychology. TikTok tapped into something deeply human, our need to express, to connect, to be seen. In a way, it gave everyone a tiny stage, a digital spotlight, and said, "Show the world who you are." And people did, millions of them. Some found their voice for the first time, some found community, and some, surprisingly, found themselves. Yet with all its brilliance, TikTok also brought big questions about addiction, privacy, and mental health. Because when something holds your attention so tightly, you start wondering who's really in control. But that part of the story, the power and the danger of TikTok's influence, we'll explore in the next part. For now, let's pause on one thought. How did one small app turn everyday moments into global sensations? How did 15 seconds change how we live, learn, and feel? Because that's not just a story about technology, it's a story about us. Part 2, the culture shift from fame to influence. TikTok didn't just change how people make videos, it changed how people see themselves. Before TikTok, fame was something far away. It belonged to actors, singers, athletes, or people with expensive cameras and big production teams. But TikTok broke that wall. It turned the camera into a mirror and told the world, you can be the star too. Suddenly, everyone became a storyteller. A farmer could share his morning routine and get millions of views. A single mom could post a funny moment with her kids, and the next day, brands would call her for partnerships. A teenager with no followers could make one creative video and wake up famous. That was TikTok's revolution. It democratized attention. It made fame feel real, reachable, and instant. But something even more interesting happened. TikTok didn't just give people fame, it gave them influence. People started realizing that you didn't need to be a celebrity to change opinions, start trends, or even move markets. A single video could sell out a product overnight. A 10-second clip could turn an unknown artist into a chart-topping musician. And a short emotional message could inspire millions to take action for a cause. In the past, the world followed media. Now, media follows TikTok. Fashion brands began designing clothes for TikTok trends. Musicians started creating songs for dance challenges. Restaurants designed dishes for the camera, food that looks good in 9:16 format. Even language began to change. TikTok created its own vocabulary. Words like aesthetic, core, POV, GRWM, de-influencing. That's a vibe. It became a cultural code, a way of speaking that only the digital generation fully understood. But maybe the most fascinating thing TikTok did was give ordinary people extraordinary confidence. For the first time, someone could post a video with no makeup, no filters, no studio, and still connect with millions. The world was tired of perfection. TikTok offered something better: authenticity. People wanted real laughter, real emotions, real moments. And TikTok rewarded that honesty. This shift in culture changed marketing forever. Brands realized that traditional ads didn't work anymore. People didn't trust actors reading scripts. They trusted creators, real people who spoke with emotion, humor, and truth. That's how the creator economy exploded. Ordinary users became digital entrepreneurs. A girl making skincare reviews in her bathroom could make more money than a TV star. A guy teaching English in his bedroom could reach more students than some schools. And it wasn't luck. It was connection. Because on TikTok, people don't follow perfection. They follow energy. They follow relatability. They follow people who make them feel something. That's what made TikTok different from YouTube or Instagram. On YouTube, you needed consistency. On Instagram, you needed beauty. But on TikTok, you just needed a spark, and that spark could come from anywhere. A smile, a phrase, a rhythm, a story. But with that power came something dangerous too: the pressure to stay relevant. Because on TikTok, fame can appear fast and disappear even faster. Creators learned that attention is not a gift, it's a responsibility. If you stop posting, the algorithm forgets you. If your next video doesn't perform, your views can drop overnight. That's why many creators describe TikTok as both a dream and a trap. It gave them purpose, but also pressure. It gave them community, but also comparison. You could scroll for hours, laughing, learning, feeling inspired, and still end up feeling like you're not enough. Because no matter how much you post, there's always someone with more views, more followers, more likes. That's the paradox of TikTok. It connects people, but it also tests their self-worth. Still, there's no denying its cultural power. TikTok has influenced how we talk, how we shop, how we think, how we learn. It has become the rhythm of modern life. Think about it. You hear a song on TikTok, and then you start hearing it everywhere, in cafes, malls, gyms. That's not coincidence. That's influence. TikTok made the music industry depend on trends. Artists now release songs designed for dance challenges or emotional transitions. Producers even measure how TikTokable a beat is before releasing it. That's how strong the platform's effect has become. But TikTok's biggest impact isn't measured in numbers or views. It's measured in voices. It gave a voice to people who never had one, to small creators in small towns, to young activists, to people who were ignored by mainstream media. It created global conversations about mental health, gender, education, identity, and more, all through short videos. 15 seconds became enough to say, "I understand you." And in a time when attention is short, that's a miracle. TikTok made the world smaller, faster, and louder, but also, in some strange way, more human. Because behind every video is someone trying to connect, to express, to be seen. That's why even though other apps try to copy it, none can fully replace it. Because TikTok isn't just an app. It's a reflection of us, our humor, our insecurities, our dreams, our need to belong. But as its power grew, so did the questions. Who controls the algorithm? Who decides what we see and what we don't? And what happens when something so powerful gets involved in politics, truth, and freedom of speech? That's where the story of TikTok takes a darker, more complex turn. And that's exactly what we'll explore in part 3. Because understanding TikTok isn't just about how it entertains us, it's about how it shapes the way we think. So before you scroll again, ask yourself this: are you using TikTok, or is TikTok using you? Part 4. The Global Battle for Attention. By the time the world realized how powerful TikTok had become, it was already everywhere. On every phone, in every country, in every pocket. What started as short fun videos had quietly grown into something far greater, a global force. Governments, journalists, and tech experts all began asking the same question: what happens when one app controls the attention of billions? Because attention isn't just about entertainment anymore, it's power. Whoever controls what people watch can also influence what they think. That's why TikTok became more than just a trend. It became a political issue. Let's go back to 2020. In the United States, former President Donald Trump announced that TikTok was a national security risk. He argued that TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, could be forced to share user data with the Chinese government. The response was explosive: protests, lawsuits, confusion. TikTok said it would never share data with anyone, but the US wasn't convinced. That's when something interesting happened. TikTok tried to prove its independence. It opened offices in Los Angeles, Singapore, and Dublin. It said all American data would be stored in the US, protected by Oracle, a trusted American company. They called this Project Texas. It was TikTok's way of saying, we're global now. Not political, not dangerous, just creative. But the fear didn't disappear, because the deeper issue wasn't just about data, it was about influence. TikTok's algorithm could decide what millions of people see first and what they never see at all. And in an age where information spreads faster than truth, that kind of control worried governments everywhere. India was one of the first to act. In June 2020, it completely banned TikTok, along with dozens of other Chinese apps, citing national security concerns. For India's 200 million users, it was a shock. Overnight, creators lost their audiences, their income, their stage. Then came Europe, Australia, and Canada, banning the app on government devices. Even the European Union, known for strong digital privacy laws, warned about its risks. But despite all the bans, TikTok kept growing. Because while governments debated, the people kept scrolling. Why? Because TikTok wasn't just a platform, it was a habit, a rhythm of daily life, a place where creativity, humor, and humanity met in 15 seconds or less. That's what made it so difficult to regulate. You can ban an app, but you can't ban the human need for connection, expression, and entertainment. Still, countries weren't ready to give up. They realized that controlling attention means controlling culture. So instead of banning TikTok, some began building their own versions. The US promoted Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, both designed to mimic TikTok's format. Even China created local alternatives for regions that banned it. But none of them felt quite the same. Because TikTok had something unique, an emotional heartbeat. It wasn't just the technology, it was the community. The users had built a digital ecosystem full of humor, support, creativity, and emotion. People didn't just watch videos, they formed relationships with strangers who understood them through content. You could be lonely in one part of the world and find someone thousands of miles away who shared your exact experience, anxiety, dreams, heartbreak, joy. TikTok made the world smaller, softer, and faster all at once, and that's what made it unstoppable. But the power to connect can also divide, because when billions of people use one platform to express themselves, the line between free speech and manipulation becomes thin. Some governments accuse TikTok of censoring content that criticized China or promoted Western politics. Others accused it of doing the opposite, spreading content that destabilized societies. TikTok denied both sides, saying its goal was to stay neutral. But neutrality is hard when you're the stage for the whole world. That's the paradox of modern technology. The more powerful it becomes, the harder it is to control. TikTok's story isn't just about an app, it's about the struggle between creativity and control. On one side, you have billions of users, ordinary people sharing their voices, breaking stereotypes, and building global friendships. On the other, you have governments trying to protect privacy, prevent addiction, and manage national influence. Both sides have a point. Both sides are right and wrong at the same time. Because TikTok isn't good or evil. It's a reflection of us. It shows what happens when humanity creates a tool so powerful that it amplifies both the best and the worst of who we are. It gives us laughter, creativity, knowledge, and hope. But it also gives us distraction, insecurity, and anxiety. It connects us and isolates us. It empowers and controls. It teaches and manipulates. And that's why TikTok is so fascinating, because it's not just changing how we use technology, it's changing how we feel about it. We used to think technology was just a tool. Now, it's an ecosystem that shapes our emotions, our habits, our thoughts. TikTok is proof that attention is the most valuable currency in the world, and whoever controls it controls the future. In the next part, Part 5, we'll explore exactly that. How TikTok is redefining the future, not only of social media, but of creativity, communication, and human connection. Because whether you love it or fear it, TikTok has changed the world, and we're all part of its story. Part 5, the future of creativity. When you open TikTok, you're not just opening an app, you're opening a new kind of world, a world where creativity has no rules, where ideas travel faster than language, where 15 seconds can change someone's life forever. That's the power of modern creativity: fast, personal, emotional. TikTok didn't just change how people create, it changed what creativity means. Before, creativity was something special. It belonged to artists, filmmakers, musicians, people with talent, time, and resources. But TikTok made creativity simple, everyday, and universal. Now anyone can make something powerful with just a phone and an idea. That creativity belongs to everyone, is what makes TikTok revolutionary. You see, human beings have always wanted to express themselves. We wrote on cave walls, told stories around fires, painted on ceilings, sang in villages, filmed movies. And now we make TikToks. Different tools, same need: to be seen, to connect, to share emotion. And that's why TikTok grew so fast. Because it didn't just give people a platform, it gave them permission. Permission to be imperfect, permission to be real, permission to say, "This is me." That authenticity is what defines this new era of creativity. It's no longer about having the best camera, the best body, or the best life. It's about having something true to say and saying it in your own way. That's why teachers, travelers, comedians, and even doctors are thriving on TikTok. Because knowledge, when mixed with emotion, becomes unforgettable. Learning is no longer limited to classrooms. TikTok turned the entire world into a school, where anyone can teach and everyone can learn. You can learn a new language from a stranger. You can discover history in 60 seconds. You can understand mental health from a person who's lived it. That's education in its most human form, learning through stories, faces, and emotions. But TikTok's influence goes even further. It's not just shaping creativity, it's shaping culture. Music charts now depend on viral trends. Fashion brands wait for creators to set the next style. Even politics uses short videos to reach hearts faster than speeches ever could. TikTok has become the heartbeat of the internet. When something happens in the world, a celebration, a crisis, a discovery, it appears on TikTok first. It's no longer just a platform, it's a reflection of what humanity is feeling right now. Yet with that power comes responsibility, because when creativity becomes so easy, it's also easy to lose depth, to focus on speed instead of substance, to chase likes instead of truth. That's the challenge of the next generation, learning to use technology without letting it use us. TikTok has taught us that attention is powerful, but fragile, that we must protect our focus like we protect our health, that we must choose what we feed our minds, because what we watch shapes who we become. So yes, TikTok is fun, it's creative, it's exciting, but it's also a reminder: every scroll is a choice. Every minute is an investment, in laughter, in learning, or in distraction. And maybe that's the lesson TikTok has been teaching us all along. That technology itself is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It simply amplifies the human behind it. If you use it with intention, it becomes a tool of empowerment. If you use it without awareness, it becomes a trap. So the question isn't, is TikTok good or bad? The question is, what are you doing with it? Because technology may shape the future, but you shape your relationship with it. And perhaps that's the real future of creativity: balance. A world where we can scroll, laugh, learn, and express without losing our depth. Where we can connect globally but still live locally. Where we can go viral but still stay human. That's the world TikTok has built, and it's still writing its story through every creator, every video, every idea that dares to exist. Some people see it as chaos, others see it as art. But one thing is certain, it's a mirror showing who we are, what we care about, and what we're becoming. Maybe that's why we love it so much. Because somewhere inside those endless videos, we keep finding tiny reflections of ourselves. TikTok is no longer just an app. It's the soundtrack of our generation. And like every powerful melody, it will keep evolving. The question is, will we evolve with it or let it define us? That's the challenge of our time. To create, to connect, and to stay conscious in a world that moves at the speed of a swipe. So the next time you open TikTok and see a video that makes you smile or think or feel, remember, that's not just content. That's creativity, human and raw, reaching across the world to touch another mind. And maybe that's the real miracle. Not the algorithm, not the fame, not the numbers, but the connection. Because deep down, we're not addicted to TikTok. We're addicted to feeling alive. So my students, now you know, TikTok isn't just an app on your phone. It's a symbol of the world we live in today. A world that moves fast, thinks short, but feels deeply. It gave a voice to millions of people who never had one. It turned creativity into a daily habit and fame into something anyone could touch. But it also reminded us of something important, that attention is power, and we must use it wisely. Because every video you watch, every scroll you make, every sound you hear, it all shapes who you are becoming. So before you open the app again, take a deep breath and remember, you're not just a viewer. You're part of a generation that's redefining what it means to connect, to learn, to create. If this episode made you think differently, if it made you see technology and creativity in a new way, then go back and listen till the end again. Because the more you understand it, the more you'll understand yourself. Thank you for listening to Flexlish English, where stories teach you English and lessons teach you life. And remember, the world might be watching through screens, but your power is still real. Use it to create something that makes people feel, because that's the only kind of influence that truly lasts.